Welcome everyone! Today I will be showing you how to create and schedule an open response item as a test in Schoolnet. If you are watching this presentation but do not know how to access Schoolnet, please see the presentation Accessing Schoolnet. Now let us begin to create an open response item. Here I have already logged into the Schoolnet platform. First, go to the blue column on the left-hand side of the screen and look for the tab Assessments. Click on it. Under the Assessments tab, look for Item, Rubrics, and Passages. Click on Create. A box will appear showing you all the item types that are available in Schoolnet. Select Open Response. You are now taken to a page where you will create your open response item. Now take a moment to look at the entire page. I like to look at this page as a page with banners, and within each banner there are activities for me to complete. For example, here is banner 1, banner 2, and so on. Let's begin with the first banner. For this open response item I'm about to create, I have found an already created performance task in CMAP for 6th grade that I would like to use. Your open response items do not have to be a performance task. Just keep in mind whenever you decide to create an open response, this item type is best suited for students to demonstrate more depth of knowledge. Students can demonstrate more complex cognitive behaviors, such as comparing, analyzing, and applying. The open response I'm creating comes from the strand Earth and Environmental Science. Whenever I'm creating an item, I like to type my information first in a Word or Google Doc, then copy and paste the information in Schoolnet. But it's up to you. You can begin typing your information right away in the question content box in Schoolnet. Now let us create our open response item in Schoolnet. I'll begin by selecting the subject. And for this performance task, it's from Life and Physical Science. For the grade, it's 6th grade. And for standard, it comes from Earth and Environmental Science, Earth System, Structure, and Processes. Continue clicking on the arrows to expand and see the clarifying objectives. Here, I am selecting 6E 2.1 and 6E 2.2. Notice the OR Select rubric. I will show you how to create an open response item and attach a rubric to it in another presentation. Let us continue to our next banner, Open Response. In this box, you will type the content of your question. I am now going to navigate to my Word doc. I will copy and paste the task from the Word doc into the question content box in Schoolnet. You can edit your content here by using these tools below. Now we're at the Online Students Response banner. The response type is written and the language is English. For now, I will keep the text editor as simple. The more you become familiar with using the Schoolnet platform to create different item types, you will realize not all options you will need to work on. For this open response, I will be scoring it out of 10. For exemplars, you can upload a text file or a picture. Your next banner, Standard Alignment. I've already selected the standard. Notice the two standards that I have selected are shown here. Our next banner, Tools and Manipulatives. The open response I'm preparing is for students to create a story. I do not need to select any tools and manipulatives for this. You can also add teacher instructions for using these. And then your last banner, you can preview the test or you can save it to your test bank. If you want to see what students will see, click on Preview. For now, I'm going to save to bank. Now I have 3 banks, a personal bank and 2 other banks that I have created. You can create as many banks as you would like. For you to create a bank, simply click on Create. For now, I will be adding this open response in 6th grade open response item bank. Now click on Save to Bank. Your open response item is now ready as shown here in the item detail. To the right of the item detail page, you can see the information you included when creating the item. You can see, for example, the name of the bank where the item is stored, the subject, the standard you have included, and more. On this page, you have the option to edit the open response, make a copy of it, preview, add to test, or delete it. For now, I'm going to be adding to test because I will be using the open response to create a test for students. Click on Add to Test. On this page, you have the option to either add that open response item you have created to a test you have already made, or you can choose to create a new test with it. I'm going to be creating a new test. On this page, I will be creating the test for students to take online. You will need to fill out all the information in this section. Let's begin by giving the test a name. When you're naming your test, consider giving it a name that you can remember exactly what the test was about. For example, I will be naming my test based on the standard and have also attached the word open response. Next, go to Subject and choose the subject. Select Life Science. Select the grade, grade 6. Preferred standard. Yes, we did select the standards before when we were creating that open response item, but now we're creating the test to be taken online. Select Science. Now select your standards. Click on the arrow to expand this area. Continue clicking to find your clarifying objectives. Here I have my 2 objectives. Now click Save and Close. For test category, I'm giving this test to the students in my class, so I'll leave it as My Classroom. Unanswered questions. If this was for a multiple choice and students did not answer one of the items in the test, you can choose whether to include or exclude that item that student did not respond to in the overall score. This is an open response, so I'll just simply leave it as include in score. Score type, you have the option of selecting from the 3 here, proficiency score, raw score, total score. For now, I'll leave it at total score because I'm scoring it out of 10. For font style, you have the option to change the default, and you can change the size of the text as will be shown on screen for the students. Now there are a few more options to choose from. Test item details, click on the drop down arrow. Read these carefully and decide which you want to choose. Test settings. In this section, you can allow students to comment on the test. You can also put some descriptions on the test for students to read. You also have the option to select accommodations for students, such as line reader, magnifier, text to speech. And finally, enable printing. Notice all of mine are checked. You can decide which ones you want to uncheck. Test restrictions. Let's click on the drop down once more. The test restrictions here are for parents and students. For now, I will say no restrictions. Read this carefully and decide which you would like to select. And then finally, co-authoring. If you want to collaborate with another teacher or teachers on this test, you will go to this section, co-authoring. I am not co-authoring the test right now. Now that I've completed all the information on the page, I will now go to Generate Tests. On this page, I still have the option of making edits to the open response. Looking at my test right now, I do not need to make any more changes. Now I will click Save if I've made changes. If not, I can go to Return to Test Details. I can select Return to Test Details at the top of the page or at the bottom of the page. Click on Return to Test Details. Now it's time to schedule the test for online. Notice at the top of the page, you see Private Draft, Ready to Schedule, Schedule. You will need to go through all these 3 sections to schedule the test online. Let's begin by clicking on Ready to Schedule. A box appears asking you some questions. Read carefully. Once you've selected OK, you cannot go back and make changes to the test unless you copy it and start a new version of it. Continue clicking on Schedule. On the Schedule page, you have 3 sections. Section 1, Administration. Section 2, Assignment for your student. And Section 3, Online Delivery option. For administration, select the start date, end date, and score date. I'm going to select the start date for today. I'm also going to select my end date for today. You can select whichever day you would like. I'm going to select my score date for tomorrow, the 4th. Under the dates, you have some more options, test results and scoring. Read these carefully. I would like to select the first, which says prevent students from launching the test before the start date or after the end date. Now let's go to section 2, assignment for your students. Select assignment. For assignment, you can select the group you want to take the test. You can also assign this test to just a few students in your class. I want to assign to 2 students in the class. Here I'm selecting the students. Now click on Add Selected. Now click Done. Now we're at the 3rd section of scheduling. In this section, you see the code that students will need to take the test. Here are some more options that you can choose from. I have 2 already selected. This one says display test on Take a Test widget test list on the student homepage. That means when students log into Schoolnet, they will see this test on their home screen. Also, I have the option of restricting test access to specific days and time. You can choose the time and date as to when you want your students to complete the test. In the section Item Features, you can track and display students' response. This feature is especially helpful if students are completing a multiple choice test. Finally, the student-facing features. You can choose the time to test and allow students to pause and resume a started test. Now let us read this last option carefully. Show students scores upon submission. Since this is an open response item, you will need time to read and score your students' responses. By unchecking this box, students will not see scores immediately after submission. Students will see their scores after you have graded and submitted it. Once you're done scheduling, click Save and Publish. Your test is now ready. Here is the passcode students will need to access the test. In the next presentation, you will learn how to score this open response item once students have completed it.